In the vast tapestry of human history, there are a few figures whose lives shine as beacons of faith, courage, and unwavering devotion. Among them stands Prophet Ibrahim, Abraham, peace be upon him, a man revered not only in Islam but also in Christianity and Judaism. He was remembered as the father of prophets, a title that speaks of his extraordinary role in shaping the spiritual journey of humanity. In Islam, Ibrahim alayhi salam holds a unique and honored position. The Quran calls him Khalilullah, the friend of Allah, a distinction of closeness, of love, and of trust from the Creator himself. His life was a mission to guide people away from falsehood and idolatry and to lead them toward the eternal truth of Tawheed, the belief in one Almighty God. But the road Ibrahim alayhi salam walked was not an easy one. From his earliest days, he stood against the tide of his society, a society steeped in idol worship and ancient traditions that clouded the truth. He faced rejection, mockery, and threats. Yet his faith did not waver. Every trial, every challenge only strengthened his resolve and deepened his trust in Allah. And then came one of the greatest missions in human history. At the command of Allah, Ibrahim alayhi salam, along with his son Ismail alayhi salam, laid the foundations of a house. Not an ordinary house of stone, but the Kaaba, the sacred sanctuary that would become the heart of worship for all believers until the end of time. A place where the faithful turn their faces in prayer, where millions gather every year to answer the same call that Ibrahim alayhi salam answered centuries ago. This is the story of the man who built the Kaaba. A journey through his early life, his search for truth, his defiance against falsehood, his immense sacrifices, and his ultimate legacy. A story that does not just belong to history, but one that continues to shape the hearts and faith of people today. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was born into a world drowning in falsehood. His homeland, a thriving city in ancient Mesopotamia, was filled with towering idols and grand temples. Places where people bowed not to the creator of the heavens and the earth, but to lifeless statues of stone and wood. In this society, idol worship was not just a religion, it was a way of life. The people believed these silent figures could bless them, protect them, and control their fate. Even his own father, Azar, was a maker of idols, crafting them with his hands, selling them in the marketplace, and teaching the next generation to revere them. But from a young age, Ibrahim alayhi salam was different. He was curious, thoughtful, always questioning the world around him. He would watch his father shape an idol, carving its features and polishing its surface, and wonder, how can something we create with our own hands become our God? The more he observed, the more his heart turned away from the beliefs of his people. He saw the idols being decorated with gold and jewels, but also saw them knocked over by the wind. He saw people beg for rain before statues that could not even speak. Deep within, he knew the truth. The Lord of the universe could not be a statue. The Creator could not be made. As he grew, his search for truth became a fire in his heart. He looked at the sun, the moon, and the stars, contemplating their power and beauty. Yet even they would rise and fall, appear and disappear. None of them could be the eternal God. And so Ibrahim alayhi salam rejected the worship of idols completely. Alone in a world of shirk, he took the first step on the path of Tawheed, calling his people to abandon false gods and worship only Allah, the one and only. His voice was gentle, but his words carried the weight of truth. Do you worship what cannot harm you or benefit you? Will you not reason? It was the beginning of his mission. A lone young man standing against the beliefs of an entire society, armed with nothing but unshakable faith and the light of guidance from his Lord. With conviction burning in his heart, Ibrahim alayhi salam began to speak openly. He called his father, his relatives, and his people to the truth, to leave behind the lifeless idols and submit to the one true God. His message was simple yet powerful. Worship Allah alone. He is the one who created you, the heavens and the earth. He is the one who gives life and causes death. But his words struck at the very core of their way of life. Idol worship was not only their religion, it was their tradition, their economy, and their pride. His call was met with disbelief,
mockery, and anger. Even his father, Azar, rejected him. Instead of listening, Azar warned his son to stay silent, threatening to punish him if he continued. But Ibrahim alayhi salam did not stop. His love for his people and his compassion for their misguided hearts drove him to keep speaking, hoping they would see the truth. Then came a day when Ibrahim alayhi salam decided to confront their false beliefs with undeniable evidence. During a great festival, when the people left the city to celebrate, Ibrahim alayhi salam entered their grand temple. The towering idol stood silently, decorated with offerings of food and ornaments. With a firm hand, he struck them down, smashing the false gods into pieces, all except for the largest one. He hung the axe around the neck of the great idol and left. When the people returned and saw the destruction, their outrage filled the air. "Who has done this to our gods?" they cried. The whispers soon pointed to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Brought before the king and the people, Ibrahim alayhi salam faced their accusations without fear. Calmly, he pointed to the great idol and said, "Ask him if he can speak." His challenge was simple, yet devastating. If their gods could not defend themselves, how could they protect anyone else? But truth is a threat to falsehood. Instead of accepting the message, they hardened their hearts. Their anger turned into a deadly plan. They built a massive fire, the largest their city had ever seen, and prepared to throw Ibrahim alayhi salam into it. In that moment, standing on the edge of the flames, Ibrahim alayhi salam placed his complete trust in Allah. And Allah, in His mercy, commanded the fire to be coolness and safety for Ibrahim. The fire burned bright, but it could not harm him. He emerged unharmed, a living sign of God's protection for those who believe. Still, many hearts remained blind. The opposition would not end here, but neither would the mission of Ibrahim alayhi salam.
Ibrahim A.S. and the command to build the Kaaba. After the trials of his early life, Ibrahim A.S. received a command from Allah that would change the course of history. Allah instructed him to leave his homeland and travel to a barren land in Arabia, where he would build a house for worship. This house would become the Kaaba, the sacred sanctuary at the center of the Muslim world. Ibrahim A.S. obeyed without hesitation. He carried the guidance of Allah in his heart and the vision of the Kaaba in his mind. Alongside his son, Ismail A.S., he began the long journey to the valley of Mecca. The land was desolate, with no houses, no communities, and very little water. Yet Ibrahim A.S. saw the promise of Allah in every stone and every grain of sand. Upon arriving, Ibrahim A.S. began the task of building the Kaaba. He gathered stones from the surrounding hills and laid the foundation exactly as Allah had instructed. Every stone was placed with care and purpose. Every wall aligned with divine guidance. Ismail A.S. assisted his father, carrying water and helping to lift the heavy stones. The Kaaba was not just a building of bricks and mortar. It was a symbol of unity, faith, and devotion. It was a place where people would turn to pray, a center of guidance for all generations. Ibrahim A.S. and Ismail A.S. worked tirelessly despite the heat of the sun and the emptiness of the land. Their dedication reflected their love for Allah and their desire to fulfill His command. Through the construction of the Kaaba, Ibrahim A.S. demonstrated unwavering obedience and pure devotion. His actions became a timeless example of faith in action, showing that true worship requires sacrifice, patience, and complete trust in Allah. The Kaaba, built by Ibrahim A.S. and his son Ismail A.S., would forever remain a beacon of faith. It was not just a structure of stone, but a living testimony of the relationship between a prophet and his creator, and a guide for all humanity to follow. After completing the Kaaba, Ibrahim A.S. faced one of the most profound tests of faith in human history. Allah commanded him to offer his beloved son, Ismail A.S., as a sacrifice. This was not an ordinary trial. It was a test of absolute obedience, trust, and submission to the will of Allah. Ibrahim A.S. did not hesitate. His heart was heavy with love for his son, yet his love for Allah and his unwavering faith were greater. He shared the command with Ismail A.S., who, with remarkable courage and faith, agreed to submit to Allah's command. Together, father and son prepared for the ultimate act of devotion. As they approached the moment of sacrifice, Ibrahim A.S. raised his knife with a heart full of trust in Allah. At the very instant, Allah, in His infinite mercy, sent a ram to be sacrificed in place of Ismail A.S. The command had been a test, and both father and son had passed with absolute obedience. This event became a timeless lesson for all humanity. It demonstrated the depth of faith required to submit fully to the Creator. It showed the importance of trust in Allah's wisdom, even when a command seems most difficult or impossible. From this act of devotion emerged the tradition of sacrifice that continues today during the festival of Eid al-Adha. Millions of Muslims around the world remember Ibrahim A.S. and Ismail A.S. by sacrificing animals in obedience to Allah, symbolizing submission, faith, and devotion. Through this trial, Ibrahim A.S. became a living example of surrender to divine will. His faith was unshakable, his heart pure, and his devotion unmatched. The story of this sacrifice reminds believers that true obedience to Allah requires courage, trust, and love for Him above all else.
Ibrahim a.s.'s message and his lasting impact. The life of Ibrahim a.s. was a journey of faith, devotion, and guidance that has left an everlasting mark on humanity. His message of Tawheed, the belief in one God, was not just for his own time, but for all generations to come. Through his words and actions, Ibrahim a.s. taught that true faith requires courage to stand against falsehood, patience to endure trials, and trust in Allah even when the path seems impossible. He showed that one person, guided by the light of truth, could challenge an entire society and leave a legacy that would last for centuries. The Kaaba, built by Ibrahim a.s. and his son Ismail a.s., became the spiritual center of the world for Muslims. Every day, millions turn their faces toward it in prayer, following the direction that Ibrahim a.s. and Ismail a.s. established. Every year during the Hajj pilgrimage, believers from all corners of the globe gather to perform rituals that trace the footsteps of this great prophet. Beyond the physical structure, Ibrahim a.s.'s legacy is the example of unwavering devotion. He showed that love for Allah must come above all else, that obedience is more important than personal desire, and that truth must always be spoken, even in the face of opposition. His life reminds believers that faith is not passive, but an active journey, a continuous struggle to uphold what is right and just. Ibrahim a.s.'s teachings continue to inspire scholars, prophets, and ordinary people alike. His courage, sacrifice, and devotion have become a standard for all who seek to live a life guided by divine principles. His story demonstrates that one person's commitment to God can transform the course of history and illuminate the hearts of millions. Through the centuries, the message of Ibrahim a.s. has endured, guiding humanity toward monotheism, justice, and righteousness. His life is a beacon that calls all believers to reflect, to act with integrity, and to place their trust fully in Allah.
Conclusion: The legacy of Ibrahim A.S. The life of Prophet Ibrahim A.S. stands as one of the most inspiring stories in human history. From his early years in a society consumed by idol worship to his unwavering devotion to Allah, every moment of his life was a testament to faith, courage, and obedience. He faced trials that would have shaken the strongest of hearts, yet he remained steadfast. He challenged his people, endured rejection, and overcame impossible tests, all while maintaining a deep trust in his Creator. His life was not only about personal devotion, but about guiding humanity toward truth and righteousness. The Kaaba, built by Ibrahim A.S. and his son Ismail A.S., continues to be the spiritual center for millions of believers around the world. It is more than a physical structure. It is a symbol of unity,
faith, and the enduring power of divine guidance. Every prayer, every pilgrimage, and every act of devotion performed at the Kaaba echoes the faith and obedience of Ibrahim A.S. The ultimate lesson of his life is clear. True faith requires courage, sacrifice, and unwavering trust in Allah. His story teaches that one person, guided by truth and conviction, can change the course of history and leave a legacy that endures across centuries. Even today, the message of Ibrahim A.S. continues to inspire millions. His devotion, his wisdom, and his obedience to Allah remain a model for believers seeking to live a life of faith and purpose. The legacy of Ibrahim A.S. is not confined to history. It is alive in the hearts and actions of those who strive to follow the path of truth and monotheism. The story of the man who built the Kaaba reminds us all that obedience to God, courage in the face of adversity, and commitment to truth are the foundations of a life well lived. Ibrahim A.S.'s life is a beacon that continues to guide humanity toward faith, hope, and everlasting devotion to the one true God.